Immediately following worship, stay tuned for Talkback with Andrea Live. For 15 to 20 minutes after online worship, everyone will have the opportunity to express their thoughts, questions, and/or concerns about the subject matter of the morning. This will provide you with an opportunity to connect and gain a deeper understanding of the topics of the day. Just enter your question into the chat room or text your question to 704-343-8955. Questions read during Talkback will be anonymous.
Hey, we are here in Talkback, and we're so glad that you are joining in with us with your questions. I think, remember, I fly by the seat of my pants, and that's how I do 90% of my life. Well, 100% of my life. And Angela and Christy are not natured like that, so I have caused them great anxiety today by saying, "Hey, just and anger." Okay, good. I'll write you an apology note by tomorrow. But they're like, "What do you mean? We're just gonna talk?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll just say." So thank you guys for joining in. So Brad, what questions do we have? Hmm. So, on this one, I'll talk first, and then if y'all have anything to add. I have to say, Angela and I were talking the other day. We've both been in lots of meetings about the injustice, and there were, like this week alone, 3 different trainings that I was a part of, one through our conference, one through Iredell County, and then there was one that I didn't go to because I had another meeting at the same time of local pastors. And I feel like we can keep talking about it a lot, or we can do something about it. And I mean, we certainly need to keep talking about it, but for us and for you, if you're watching, the whole reason we started the food truck was to break the racial divide that exists in our churches on Sunday morning. And every Sunday, a church leads that ministry, either us, Faith, or St. Paul. And the original goal was to have people of both races serving every Sunday. And we got to the place where that was too hard to do. So the white church took 2 Sundays a month, and each black church took a Sunday a month. And none of us were intentional about working together. And so I think if we're going to put action behind what we say, it takes hard work. And we have to dig in and not just always do what's easy. What do y'all think?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I think that you're right. There has to be some kind of action with any kind of anger, because otherwise anger just kind of festers inside. And so I think that there has to be this conversation of how are you going to work through it? And I think that has to be, action of some sort, whether it is a social justice issue, whether it's a relationship issue, whatever is fostering that anger. I think that there has to be steps to transform it into something else.
This is something that we've all been talking about for a while now, and I feel like a lot of people want to know something specific they can do, like in their community or like somewhere close by them. So some of the things that I've been talking about with Adam is supporting Black businesses and things like that. You can reach out and look up Black businesses that are in our community. And one of the things that I'm going to try to do is, I'm sitting here thinking about school starting, and there's a lot of anxiety around that. But it occurred to me that most of my books have white children in them. So
and what grade do you teach?
3rd.
Okay.
Wow.
So a lot of the ones that I teach, like whole group, is has different people from different places and different ethnicities, but most of the ones that like they can pick out for themselves are white, so I'm thinking, well, I'm just gonna ask my Black friend, like, what do you read to your children? What are some books that you read? Because that's something that I don't even know how to start to fund something like that, and also it depends on what level of anger you're in or what you're willing to do, But there is a Confederate statue in Statesville that some of my black friends are trying to get removed. You can get involved in that too if that's something that you want to be involved in. You know, like going to a meeting and standing up, because I feel like if white people don't stand up and help and join in, it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
And I've heard, I hear both sides, and I'm here to hear both sides. So I don't want you to ever think you can't tell me if you disagree with me or us or whatever. But I've heard folks say, that's our history, etc. But I've also heard folks say, well, what could we do with those to use them for good? Like,
Put them in a museum.
yeah, back in the fall, I visited Dachau in Germany, a concentration camp, and it changed me. It made me have a deeper appreciation for World War II and the Holocaust, and and God's presence in the midst of just torture and pain. And so, what if we take monuments that were created to pay tribute to a certain way of thinking that was not kind towards all people, and use them for good.
All right. So we have another question. If someone makes you angry, but you move past it and forgive them, do you still accept the behavior from that person if they continue to act that way?
Either of y'all want to?
That's a tough one.
That is tough. I would suggest boundaries, and setting boundaries, because it is important to care for yourself. We love others, but at the same time, I think that we do have to set boundaries.
And that doesn't mean you have to be angry at them. It means, because I love in your question, it says, if they make you angry and you move past it and forgive, do you still accept the behavior? And to Angela's point, boundaries are vital, and we're not created to be doormats. And like I said earlier in the sermon, we all act out of our own woundedness, and it's whether we're aware of our woundedness or not. And we can be afraid of losing control. That can be a form of woundedness. But Jesus, there's an example in Scripture where we read that he wiped the dust off his feet and he went on, because he knew that he was not going to be able to change their minds. And he just walked away. And sometimes we have to walk away. It doesn't mean that we harbor ill will and hate and anger toward them. It just means that may not be meant to be.
And that's especially hard if it's somebody in your family, and it depends on how deep the whatever it is that they forgive and try to get past. If it's something that's toxic for you, I don't believe that you can authentically be who God made you to be if someone in your life is so toxic that it's holding you back, So especially it's really hard if it's somebody in your family, because when you have to put up boundaries, and that might mean you don't talk to them for a while, or or you maybe don't see them in person for a while, or say, look, I need some space, or or that can look like different things. But I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that sometimes, like when you're being hurt or someone is hurting you, that it's okay to cut them out of your life if that's what you have to do, because for your own self-preservation, so that you can be who you want to be. That person's screaming at you, and that's abuse, and that's okay to say, no, I'm not taking that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
So as far as questions about anger, that takes care of it. We did have a question from the chat room. What help do you still need for the back-to-school bash?
Where's Josh?
Right now, believe it or not, actually, what we need is money. I don't ask for money a lot. I don't talk about money a lot. But, it is a challenge to buy school supplies, and we were not able to have the back to school color dash, or what's it called?
That's
The Bash Color
That's
Dash.
right.
Sorry,
That's
like
right.
okay. We weren't able to have that this year. That's usually $6,000 to $7,000 that we didn't get. You know, we're not going to be, you know, bankrupt tomorrow, but it is a very, very tight budget right now. So we need money. Right now, the volunteer spots are filled, but things happen. And so we are anticipating like people not being able to serve and us having open spots. So watch Facebook, and we will send out a church-wide email if a big need arises as far as volunteers. So, but money's the biggest thing.
That's it for today.
All right. Thank y'all for joining in. Thank you,
Thanks.
guys. See, that was painless.
You're welcome.
Maybe.
Sure.
Thanks. Have a great week.